Hello, greetings. This is Gilles. I thought I'd come back and wish you a wonderful, wonderful, happy Easter. It is kind of surreal this time we live in. We're living this very surreal time, and I'm going to address various subjects. For we are moving, we are asked to move into the next level of reality, into the next octave of love, and so love is a very powerful force. In essence, I came to realize what I'm seeking is myself. And so in my meditation, I go and knock on every door, and when the door opens, says, am I there? No, I'm not there. Well, I am, but I'm not able. For I met myself before, for my true self, and I said, this magnificent beings that I am, that looks like me, but is eternal, magnificent. And we all have this higher self, this higher soul that we do not know. And Archangel Michael was talking about this. He said, once you know your soul, you wonder how can a divine being, such a brilliant, beautiful, divine beings of eternal perfection would want to have anything to do with me, with this being that's so wounded, that's so imperfect, that's so fragile, that's so but in essence, all our experiences are contributing to the ever-increasing expansion of the soul, and so we want to love ourselves, take it easy on ourselves, and to integrate more and more of that soul frequency. We can bring this tube of light, and for that we can be assisted by the Arcturians. It's a great divine civilization. Who's always there. They're benevolent beings, and they have very advanced crystalline light technology. And but we want to invite them to work on us, to assist, to allow them, to give them the permission to use their higher technology of light to eliminate all the darkness, all the fears, all the dysfunction, all the illness from within ourselves. And for that, we can allow them to bring this tube of light, the platinum light, the 12-dimensional shield that is created, and to purify ourselves, for it is the time for purification. An important aspect that we need to address is that there is so many people in this world that are unlovable and that are not loved. But those people need love, and even the unlovable can be loved. I'm not saying that we want to bring them into our physical presence. For that, we need to protect ourselves from all those negative energy. But within our mental process, our mental body, if we can we can send them love and include them within our love, all the unlovable and the unloved. The simple fact will completely assist us in removing certain dark judgment, certain judgment that we have on ourselves, and certain dark aspect of ourselves, for it is creating this ever-increasing expansion. And so it is the crucifixion, the transfiguration, and resurrection. For I've been waking up with some, not nightmares, but dark dreams, and really hard to, in spirit waking me up very early. So we want to use the power of the phoenix. There's only one phoenix at the time. The phoenix is always dying and being reborn from his ashes, and so we want to use that. A funny thought that came through my mind is that if last year at the same time I would have move on to my spaceship and go into another star system to explore, take a sabbatic year and explore something else, and I would come back today, I would come back and see this world, I would wonder how the ecological voices I managed to convince everyone to stop environmental destruction. What kind of word would have they used to convince the world to stop the pollution for a while? So it would be curious to say, wow, how did that happen? So we in a sense we were kind of forced into it. It's like a very eco-responsible spring, the most eco-responsible spring that we've ever experienced, and. Understanding it's like a cosmic awakening. It's like this crisis is like the cosmic clock awakening, and so we're awake, but then we're going to come out of this crisis. Eventually we're going to come out of this crisis, like we're going to turn off the cosmic clock, and we're going to go back to sleep, go back to our activities. But the clock is going to we shouldn't expect we're going to have a breathing space after this crisis, but it's not going to be very long. There's going to be new events that are going to be coming to the picture to continue this awakening process all the way to the ascension of the collective humanity. The most important thing to do is to stay calm and to bring this peace and calm and joy, if possible, or the humor or lightness, balance, calm to all in all our interaction. For it is creating this great. There is so much fear that has been generated in the world for all the light workers. The calm and peace of the light workers are extremely powerful in stabilizing this transmutation process. So it is very important that we continue to do that. Stay calm, to stay at peace as much as possible. I'm going to pull a few cards from the Dakini. Oh. So the situation is the Phoenix. So it's like the cards, the Hermes is the sun here, is the card of the sun, the most powerful card in the deck. It's the empowerment, it is the joy, it is everything that we seek through the Phoenix, through the bringing together those energies. We're going to be reborn, we can let go of the past and trust that the future has so much more to offer. What comes around the situation is the earthbound, so we are connected to the earth. There is no... we want to feel that it is our earth, it is our humanity, it is our sun, it is our universe. It is not some impersonal thing. The earth is not some impersonal piece of rock. It is a very personal, very complex organism, just as we are very complex organism. And so we have this earth connection, and we are able to see it from afar and to take distance, but which bounds us even more, because we can see it when we go into space and we look at it. I've been doing space travel for many years, for decades, and when your third eye shows you this planet, she's so beautiful. She's the astronauts, so everybody that's there. There are astronauts in the space station right now. They are confined there, but used to confinement, but they can attest to the fact that it's such a magnificent, beautiful jewel in the cosmos, and we want to protect her. It's like we want to be the guardian of that planet, and the universe is assisting, because we could have not stopped all this environmental destructions just by sheer will. So that's kind of like assisting. What we see before us is the cremation ground, is the meditation, is the ability to rise above death even. For the creator, God and source does not see death as something tragic. It's just a beautiful celebration of returning to the light and finding all those beings that we love that have departed the earth. And so, as the Christ said, we will have this great banquet together with your enemies at the same table. We'll celebrate life together. And so there is this meditation that we do that allows us to let go of those fears that have been implemented, that have been pushed on humanity for such a long time. What we see in our subconscious, the distant past, is Maya, how she spins. We've been sewing a tapestry, and we are the sewer and the sewn. We are the God self. We have this human self and this divine self. For the divine self is eternal, perfect, and it's got is the guide. It's the minister. Is the one who supervises the whole of our evolution. But we have to accept that we have this human self that's not always perfect. That's not always up to par. That's not always, that has wounds, that has fear, that has the doubts. It's okay. We just want to ease on ourselves on that level, in order to the more we ease on ourselves, the less severe we are on ourselves, the more we can disengage with the judgment on ourselves, on others, the faster we will move towards the ascension process. Where we are now is cutting through. It's a great reform. It is a revolution of consciousness, a great awakening. It is something absolutely, there's wonderful things that are coming. For what we will be coming in the near future, what's the next experience is totally banana. It's about being absurd. It's about not having to take things so seriously. It's about being able to live in the absurd. It's like, or live in Siri. For in Siri everything is perfect always. But so just use your imagination. Imagination is very, very powerful for and to trust that this invisible world is real. For people who say, well, if you cannot touch it, it's not real. But they're breathing air and they cannot see it. And so it's like, if air is invisible but we know is real, there may be so many other things within the invisible world that we do not know, we do not grasp. But we have to accept that there are other energies and forces in the invisible world. That's called the non-being in Eastern tradition. And part of this non-being, part of this invisible part of ourselves, our thoughts and emotions. For science, they don't really have a clue yet, but the thoughts and emotions are real. thoughts are like they're like real saying, they're invisible, but they're real saying, and like Plato already explained that somewhat. And so we want to tune into for God being the absolute non-being, the most invisible of all invisible forces, and yet he's so present and so close to everything and everyone. So it's just about tuning in our frequency and accepting that love, that connection, make God your best friend. For God is always there for you. And although God is a neutral being, he will use darkness and light in the eternal wisdom of the omniscient. But for us, we want to use only light. But accepting that all those things are being used by Creator to educate the soul of the collective soul of humanity. What we see as our strength and power is the cosmic carrot. It's about following the guidance as much as possible, no matter what the guidance is really what we. And even if there is darkness that comes from within, it is those things that needs to be released, or maybe it is misinterpreted. But do not judge yourself for anything that could you feel you may be failing at or whatever. Just forgive yourself, move on to the next step, and to continue to follow the inner guidance. The more closer we are to the guidance, the more we'll feel empowered and moving towards this 0 point, this state of grace that we'll eventually reach individually and collectively. What comes to us from our environment, the outside world, is the guardian. It's a mystical experience. There's all kinds of mystical possibility, opportunities, and initiation. So it is not a collective thing. It is a very personal. We're all initiated on the level we need to be initiated, and it's not the time to bring in new codes or new information. Just you want to bring into balance everything that has already been given through the passage of those portals this year. So integrating and bringing these things into all the energies we have within ourselves in the sphere of balance. What we feel within our inner emotion, our hopes and fears, is the Scarlet Woman. It is the Empress. It is a card of abundance. It is a card of a universal card. The card is essentially said, do not get lost in any details. Always see, as much as possible, the wholeness of life, the universal aspect of life. It is the feminine side of femininity. It's about birth and rebirth and eternal rebirth. It's also about understanding if the past might have been a desert, but where we are now, there's the ability for so much to grow around us. And the outcome is this wonderful card of abundance. It's about flow. It's about celebration. It's about returning to a state of abundance after this period, this cycle of lack that we've experienced. So it's like abundance and prosperity is something we want to call on into our life. We want to invoke into our life. We cannot force other people to do those processes, to listen, to follow that light, but we can do it for ourselves, and even if we're not understood, it's part of the process. For as a philosopher, when you bring in new ideas, they're not always received in the time that is given. Throughout history, we can see that it's kind of clear. It's not because somebody brings in a new ideas that it's automatically understood. Sometimes it takes even centuries for humans to accept what the philosophers have already explained. But we live in an accelerated time, so it's about It's about accepting that some people we cannot please everyone, and so it's not about pleasing everyone. It's about being aligned with who we are and eventually finding our true self. For this crisis, we'll be coming out of it, but like I said, we're going to have a breathing space, and then before the end of the year, there will be something else that will come. We cannot reveal what will be coming, but we're going to get getting closer to this first contact and this total freedom and this ascension eventually. And it's really essential to bring balance into the shift of energy. It's to stay calm and to understand there is the Chiron, the great planet Chiron. That's the healer, the wounded healer. That's making a square to the nodes of the moon, the past, the south node of the moon in the past in Capricorn, and the north node of the moon in Cancer, the inner world, which is the future. Understanding also that when we feel some really downtime, when our energy is very, very low, it's like a wave. The deeper, the more the more we feel bad about something, the more we have to understand it is a sign that we're going to be elevated for the deep. It's like a wave. If the waves are like this, there is no much high and low. Eventually, we're going to find into a much more stable environment in the fifth dimension. But in this dimension of transmuting into the fourth dimension, there may be some very downtime, but it is a sign that there's going to be a great up. And when we reach the up, we have to get used to the idea that there may be a down afterwards. For it is the nature of duality to have ups and downs. You can look it through the markets or on the emotional level. So we're going to be far more adept at navigating those new waters very soon, and we're all being trained and prepared. And so just continue to listen to your heart and cultivate the love and bring your four bodies into alignment: the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body, and the astral spiritual body. And it's time also to take care of our physical health and to try to avoid caffeine and sugar and processed food as much as possible. I've never been really good for there's a lot of vegetables I can't even eat, so I'm a bit handicapped from the start in this process of cleansing, but I am getting better. I'm progressing slowly but surely. We all follow our own path without judgment. The paintings behind me, this is a portrait of Paul Klee, who's a wonderful painter. I think he was from Switzerland. His essential philosophy was to reveal the invisible world. It's one of the most poetic painters. It's quite wonderful. But this painting is based on his self-portrait, but he's more mature in this painting. He's not as ecstatic in his own original portrait. He's a great ecstatic being, but here it feels like he's mature. He's like a bit older, and it's not quite finished, but I like it. It's very peaceful. And this painting is. It's on a recycled canvas, but it's I don't know if I'm going to touch it because there is some of the stripe from behind the canvas that are re-emerging. For essentially, it was a tree. It's a tree, a Christmas tree. For I did it in last November. I didn't have a Christmas tree, so I figured I create my own Christmas tree. And it's a tree that's like a tree of knowledge. And so it starts on the bottom with the word hope at the root, and then he moves to courage and patience. Then he goes into gentleness, compassion, truthfulness, goodness, peace, wisdom, kindness, then joy, freedom, and happiness. With the I am presence, the star on top of the tree represents the I am presence on top of us. And so it is signed to 2019. So for now it's going to stay like this, although it's got some scratches from the back. It was a recycled canvas. Somebody gave it to me. I worked on that. So I'm going to finish with a song. It's I pulled one a bit random, but it's a song, kind of spiritual song from John and Vangelis. It goes like this. You ask me where to begin. Am I so lost in my sin? You ask me where did I fall? I'll say I can't tell you when. But if my spirit is lost, how will I find what is near? Don't question, I'm not alone. Somehow I'll find my way home. My sun shall rise in the east, so shall my heart be at peace. And if you're asking me when, I'll say it starts at the end. You know your will to be free is matched with love secretly, and talk will alter your prayer. Somehow you find you are there. Your friend is close by your side and speaks in far ancient tongue. A season wish will come true. All seasons begin with you. One world we all come from. One world will melt into one. Just hold my hand and you're there. Somehow we're going somewhere. Somehow we're going somewhere. You ask me where to begin. Am I so lost in my sin? You ask me where did I fall? I'll say I can't tell you when. But if my spirit is strong, I know it can't be long. No question, I'm not alone. Somehow I'll find my way home. 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 That's great. It's a great spiritual song. Just remember that when I listened to that, when I had a German friend in Miami Beach, she introduced me to that song. She really liked it, and so it just stuck with me. And so I'm gonna pull a last card. It is the Lady of Raphael, gentle, understanding, courageous, and intellectual. She's the feminine side of femininity. She's about expressing your emotion in a positive way, so the mirror of life can reflect to you the energies that you really want. She said, do what your heart dictates. Love of home and family. Worthwhile information that can be trusted, that is being delivered by the intellect. So it's about trusting the guidance that you receive as much as possible. Well, I hope you're having this good weekend, although it is kind of surreal in those times that we live in. But just be patient, prepare yourself already for what is to come, and know what you really want out of life. For in essence, the more we can program ourselves for what we already want and to accept that it will be coming, the faster those things will be brought to us from the universe. I thank you very much. I wish you a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Namaste.